students' voices on campus feel represented as someone who once felt underrepresented on campus.
All right, so our first question from the elections committee is, what's one decision the current ASOC president has made that you disagree with, and why?
One of the things I disagree with are I don't like how the senator check-ins are done the day of the meeting. I wish they were sent previously because I feel like there's such a lack of initiative of these senators in the room not doing anything. And I don't feel like there's a push there. I want at least one proclamation presented each month, and I want the senators actually doing things.
That's pretty quick. The president's position often requires working closely with other executives, sometimes beyond standard work hours. How do you plan on establishing a working relationship with other executives to achieve your goals throughout your term? You have 30 seconds.
So I already manage a really crazy schedule, so I'm able to volunteer 4 places, 2 internships, and 1 job. So I feel like adding a little bit more to that is light work. So I already have a really good team, and I already work with really good people. So I'll take initiative to, have extra time. It's not an issue.
One second. We've got a little bit of a hypothetical question. Say the ASOC budget got cut by 30% next year. Clubs, student organizations, and senators are demanding full funding. Choose one community to prioritize and why. Explain how you would justify the cuts to frustrate you. You have 1 minute.
So I would prioritize it towards the senators because I feel like we've done a really good collaborating with clubs anyway. So I feel like just handing it over to the clubs wouldn't be very efficient. Me personally, I've been able to plan a few events on campus like the petting zoo and the mentor mix where I was able to collaborate with animal advocates. And I think if we continue to do this further, then we're able to use the money more efficiently instead of just having these clubs plan them and then not having a good turnout. So I believe that if we're doing a lot of things collaboratively, we're going to have a better turnout and then our money's going to go into better use.
All right, now we're moving on to public questions. As always, members of the public have first priority, and then we'll go on to candidates. Are there any public questions?
Hi there. I have a quick question. Seeing as there's so many candidates here, some of them in coalition, some of them not in coalition, it's very possible that you end up with an executive legislature that has opposing opinions as it pertains to creating the budget or other policies. How do you plan to navigate that, ensure that you guys are collaborating effectively?
So even though I'm aware of running a coalition, I think at the end of the day, it's important to leave personal feelings aside and actually get things done. So I'm a bit advocate for that. So even if I don't end up working with the team, I think that if we all are listening to each other and each of us, our voices are represented when we're in there making decisions, if it's a group decision, I think we'd all end up making a really good and efficient choice.
Thank you.
As president, you are the head of ASOC. Often, ASOC is not necessarily an accurate representation of the whole Ohlone College student body. How do you plan on combating that issue next year?
Yeah, so I feel like this year there has been like a big lack of initiative and certain representations. Me myself, as the only Mexican senator in there in the beginning, I felt like it's weird being in a room with unfamiliar faces. So I feel like I'm already kind of taking that step since I am a first generation Mexican girl. So I feel like just by the small steps that we're taking, and then next year when we're choosing our senators, kind of reading the room and seeing that we do need more diversity in there.
As president, you have a lot of responsibility. You have the responsibility of communicating with others and kind of like reaching out to other students and faculty around Ohlone. So what is one of the biggest struggles you went through as a senator or anytime else in your experience at Ohlone College, and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, so I previously mentioned how I felt underrepresented. So I feel like one of the biggest barriers that I faced is because I didn't have anyone to confide to or go to. I didn't really feel comfortable taking that initiative. I feel like that's the biggest struggle I faced. But during my time here, I've kind of learned to value my voice and really speak when I do speak my mind.
Basically, you don't have anyone to run against. So I think in this case, character speaks more volume. What about you? Or what about your experience was a pivotal moment that decided you need to run for president?
I think I kind of previously mentioned how I was in a room filled with people where I didn't feel familiar. So I feel like one of the biggest things that kind of inspired me is because I want to be someone that people look up to and can come to and feel comfortable when they're facing issues. So I think that's a big like characteristic I carry. I do value everyone's opinions and I do want everyone to feel comfortable. And I want to create a space where students are able to come up to me and speak about any issues they're facing, or if they want to see some sort of change on campus, that'd be.
Hi, nice to meet you. I have a question. If elected, what is one thing you would immediately prioritize?
One of the big things I want to do next year for Senate is having no laptops during the meeting, unless you're presenting a bill, because a lot of these senators in there, the reason no one is asking questions, no bills are getting rejected is because no one's paying attention.
Do you plan to add any special funding categories such as hello? My question is, do you plan to add any
Make sure you speak into mic.
do you plan to make
The question was, do you plan to make local transportation accessible for students? I think this is something that was already brought up before, but I mean, I haven't really looked into that, so I can't give you a concise answer right now, but it's definitely something I'll look into. So as you know, the ASOC president reports every month to the board of trustees. What information do you think is most important to bring? I think last meeting I said, and I think one of the biggest issues was talking about student diversity on campus and what communities aren't represented. So I think that's something I really want to focus on because I have spoken to the META president and other clubs and organizations that feel underrepresented on this campus. So something I really want to bring up is their issues and kind of taking their voices over there.
I had one question. Okay, what are 3 end goals that you wish to have by the end of your term as president, and how will you achieve them?
Okay, so first one was having a more diverse group in Senate and having more faces there. Second one I kind of mentioned was having students or senators present one proclamation each month. And then the third would be having more collaborative events because I feel like there's such a lack of initiative in that. Yes, we have events like the hackathon and a few others, but I feel like there isn't much that the senators actually do in that room.
All right, so our last candidates of the day are Ohlone College Student Trustee. They're the official voting member and student representative to the Board of Trustees. Christian and Lexi, you may begin your introductory statements. Christian, you're first. Oh, no, sorry, Lexi, you're first.
Hello, everyone. I'm so ecstatic to be here today and to be running for student trustee. I'm a third-year mechanical engineering student here at Ohlone College. Some things about myself. I am a past ASOC Senator of the Arts, past ASOC Vice President, current SPEED President, and is currently a PA for the Tesla Smart Manufacturing Development Program. And something that I plan to do with my time as student trustee, if elected, is to promote inclusion, transparency, and to advocate for all students.
Hello, my name is Krishiv Kumar, and I'm a second-year mechanical engineering student here at Ohlone. I choose to be I'm involved in student government and different clubs, and I believe as student trustee, I can help bridge the gap between trustees and students. And I have a clear plan to do this by helping students speak their voice and be represented at the board with events. And
Our first question for today. Beyond attending board meetings, what will you actually do to represent students? You have 30 seconds.
Something that I think is a huge problem here on campus is the lack of student representation on hiring committees, because hiring committees are the people that hire our professors, our directors, our leaders of programs and resources here at Ohlone College. So the fact that we don't have any student representation on these committees is a huge problem, because these are the people that hold our education, resources, and programs in their hands.
Outside of meetings, I plan on holding events like open student forum events where students could anonymously or directly share concerns, which I would then compile and bring to the board. That way, I'm addressing their concerns and accurately representing what student concerns are. And I would do this by having events at popular locations like cafeteria, MSC, library, and have a feedback system where students could share anonymously too, and they'd be comfortable voicing their opinions and accurately representing, and so I can share their support.
Okay, so our next question is, how will you keep the student body informed about board meetings, decisions, and opportunities for input? You have 30 seconds.
Something that I think is really super important about this role is marketing and transparency with the student body. In my experience, not a whole lot of people know what the student trustee role is, what it does, or what its function. So something that I plan to do to keep students informed about board meetings, decisions, and opportunities for input is to work closely with the ASOC Senate and executives to consistently put out marketing material to the student body to keep them informed of things that go on in college.
So working alongside student government, I would plan to launch a monthly infographic, which would detail key board decisions and how that impacts students. And this would be important so students feel involved in how students are affecting them. And I'd go about this on social media like Instagram or Discord, and I'd have polls to keep the audience engaged and ask questions. That way, I am actively representing what they want, and I'm communicating to the board about what the students' concerns are.
And then moving on to our last elections committee question, how will you measure your success as student trustee at the end of the year? What metrics matter most to you? You have 1 minute.
That's a really fantastic question, because something that has been recently come to my attention is how to put metrics to your achievement. So personally, I think that something most important to me is getting a student voice on hiring committees, as I've mentioned before. So if we can just get a 20% increase on those hiring committees or any other equity initiatives or initiatives for students, then I think that that would be a great success. Not only that, but personal connection with the student body is incredibly important, because the most important thing about marketing this role is connections with others. And I think personally, as a woman in STEM and someone who is in a male-dominated field, representation of marginalized communities is incredibly important as well.
Repeat the question.
How will you measure your own success as student trustee at the end of the year? What metrics matter most to you?
To me, it's not just about serving for a year, but actually building a legacy for future student representatives too. And I would do that by having a trustee journal, so future trustees would have a strong foundation to build upon, and they wouldn't face the same challenges I would face in this role. I would document and reflect everything I go through. That way, future trustees know exactly how to deal with challenges, and I would seek to better represent the students. And if I am able to get more involvement and more people to show up at these meetings and get a high turnout of people interacting with my polls and social media presence, I believe I'd have done a good job. We have a large impact.
Moving on to audience questions. Do we have any audience questions for student trustee?
Question for the both of you, which events would you prioritize going to, ASOC events or college camp? And college camp events meaning ones put on by college administration.
I think personally, I would prioritize going to college events because I feel that that is more related to the role that I will be in if elected. So keeping up with not only board policies, but also college events is a great way to market to the student body on what kind of things are going on at the college, just besides things like hiring committees or budget approvals or things like that. So I feel like the promotion of community and culture is incredibly important in this role as well.
I would alternatively attend the student events because I think one thing that characterizes a student trustee with the rest of the board is the fact that you are a student, that you are voicing the opinions of the student. And I think as being a student, it's important to actually be involved with them and see what's going on and then provide that information to the board. I think doing that would enable me to actually represent what's going on at the campus and make a good representative for the students because I'm not just for the people, I'm also part of the people.
Do we have any other questions from any members of the public or any candidates? Okay. You have a follow-up?
Just a separate question. If you were to be student trustee, would you plan on having a relationship with like ASOC or like the ASOC president? And if you do, what would you do with that relationship?
I would say most definitely, because I am the bridge between ASOC and the Board of Trustees. So prioritizing a relationship not only with the ASOC president, but also the executives and the Senate is a great bridge to start to build a relationship also with the student body. So yes, that's what I would say. Thank you.
Could you repeat the question?
If you were to be student trustee, would you try to have a relationship with ASOC or the ASOC president? And if you did have a relationship with them, what would you do?
Absolutely. I think I'm a people's person and I love getting to meet people and know people. And with this relationship, I would seek to also bridge the gap between the board and the student government, as I believe that is part of my role and duty. And I would help work together with them to execute on their dreams and ideas to turn it into action.
That being said, and there's no questions to ask, I want to thank you.
All right, so just some future dates to keep in mind. The voting period for the ASOC executives and the trustee candidates will be from Monday, May 5th through Friday, May 9th. The election results will be released on Monday, May 12th, and then the candidate swearing will be on Tuesday, May 27th. So if you're a candidate, please keep these dates in mind. And of course, if you're an audience member, please keep the voting days in mind. And lastly, if you guys have any questions, you guys can go ahead and take a look at all the election committee members' contacts up there. You can contact us through email. Thank you.
All right, thank you all. Take care and help yourself to any of the leftover boba and snacks.